Do you know how many views kids' nursery rhymes get on YouTube? Billions. That's right, billions. And what if I told you that you can start creating them too, without spending hours learning complicated software or investing tons of money? With this free AI tool called Autodraft, you can make professional nursery rhyme videos in just minutes and start monetizing your channel in just a few weeks. Today, I'll walk you step by step on how to create your very first rhyme, upload it, and set yourself up to earn thousands of dollars on YouTube. But before that, let's watch this rhyme.
High in the tree where the bluebirds sing, sun in the sky makes the bright leaves swing. Jump on a cloud, let it sail so far, off to the land where the dreamers are. La la la, we'll touch the moon, sing our song from noon to noon. Clap your hands and skip in time, together we'll dance in dreamland's rhyme. La la la, we'll touch the moon, sing our song from noon to noon. Clap your hands and skip in time, together we'll dance in dreamland's rhyme.
All right, let's get started. First, open your preferred browser and type autodraft.in in the address bar. Once you hit enter, you'll land on the Autodraft website. If you're already logged in, you can click on My Projects on the top right corner. This will take you directly to your dashboard, where you'll see the different creative tools available. Animation Studio AI, Image Generation AI, Voiceover AI Video. For this tutorial, we'll begin with Animation Studio. Click on it, and you'll be prompted to create your first project. For example, let's create a project called My First Children's Rhyme Video. You can give your project any title you like. At this stage, you'll also choose the canvas size. 16:9, horizontal video, best for YouTube and widescreen content. 9:16, vertical video, ideal for Reels, Shorts, or TikTok. Select your preferred format and then click Create. Once your project is created, you'll arrive at the project page. Let's quickly walk through the layout before starting the actual work. Left panel characters. Choose from available characters. Media. Upload your own images, videos, or audio. Scenes. Pick from ready-made scenes to save time. Image generation. Create custom AI-generated backgrounds. Video gen. Convert an image into an AI-based video. AI voice. Generate voiceovers for your rhymes or narration. AI thumbnail. Design thumbnails for your finished video. AI character. Create new characters or modify existing ones. IK. Inverse kinematics. Advanced tool for professional animators to fine-tune movements. Right panel. Asset library. Access additional elements for your project. Effects. Apply visual effects. Music. Add background music. Note: more options appear here depending on the selected character or asset. Timeline. Bottom panel. Control your project sequence. Options include duplicate, split, camera controls, and zoom, in, out. Use the +/- controls to expand or shrink the timeline for easier editing. Canvas area. Center. This is your main working space. You can zoom in/out to adjust your view and arrange elements on screen. This completes the overview of the Autodraft project page. Now let's move forward and begin working on our first animation project. All right, so when we create a rhyme, we always need 3 essential ingredients: beautiful lyrics, soothing music, and a great voice to bring it all together. These are the key combinations that make a rhyme magical. The very first step, of course, is to have the lyrics. For this, we can use a tool like ChatGPT to help us generate them. But remember, to get the right output, we need to give ChatGPT clear guidance on what kind of song we're looking for. For example, here I've given ChatGPT an instruction to create a children's rhyme that feels magical, calm, and dreamy. Once I type in the prompt and hit enter, ChatGPT generates a set of lyrics for me. Here's an example it produced. Isn't that beautiful? Now, if we want more options, we can simply ask, can you create more versions? ChatGPT will then keep generating multiple variations of rhymes, each with a slightly different tone and style. For instance, another version it gave is, this way, we can pick and choose the lyrics that best fit the mood we want for our rhyme. All right, so out of all the lyrics that ChatGPT has generated, let's say I've chosen the one that goes, "High in the tree where the bluebirds sing." This is the line I'd like to build my music around. Now the next step is to create a music prompt. To do this, I simply ask ChatGPT to help me generate a suitable prompt using these rhyme lyrics. For example, I can type, "Give me a prompt to generate music using the rhyme lyrics provided." The music should match the style and mood of the rhyme. Once I hit enter, ChatGPT creates a ready-to-use music generation prompt for me. This is the exact prompt that we'll be using inside Autodraft to compose our song. With just a few clicks, the tool will generate music that perfectly matches the rhyme we've selected. Now that we have our prompt ready, it's time to generate the music based on it. To do this, go to the AI voice option on the left panel. Within this section, you'll notice several features: AI voice cloning, speech-to-speech, and text-to-voice. These are mainly used for creating voiceovers, but in this case, we'll be using the AI music creator option to generate our background music. You might notice that the prompt generated by ChatGPT is quite detailed and lengthy. To make it easier for the system to process, we'll simplify it. For example, I'll shorten it to something like, "Create a kid's rhyme using the below given lyrics." Once that's ready, we can set the parameters. Singer type. Choose between male, female, any, or kids rhyme. Since this is a children's rhyme, we'll select kids rhyme. Duration. Choose how long you want the song to be, 1 minute, 2 minutes, or more. For this example, I'll select 1 minute. Now click Generate. If you don't provide lyrics and simply write a line like, "Create a kid's rhyme about Humpty Dumpty," the tool will automatically compose a brand new song around that theme, complete with fresh lyrics and melody. So, let's go ahead and hit Generate for our rhyme. You'll see that the music generation process begins immediately, and in just a short while, your custom track will be ready to use. Once the music has been generated, the next step is to listen to it and review how it sounds. You can generate as many versions of the rhyme as you like, and then simply pick the one that feels the best to you. After you've chosen your preferred version, click on Add. This will automatically place the complete audio track onto your timeline. Now, I'm using the zoom in and zoom out feature on the timeline to check the length of the rhyme. As you can see, it's exactly 1 minute long. This helps us confirm that the song's duration matches what we selected earlier. On the timeline, you can also rename the track for easy identification. Let's rename it as Rhyme. Once the rhyme is placed and labeled, we're ready to move on to the next stage, breaking down the song into a storyboard. This storyboard will help us plan the visuals for each part of the rhyme. And based on that, we'll start creating the backgrounds for our animation. This is the stage where we actually begin our main planning. Here, we start by noting down the durations of different parts of the rhyme, identifying where the lyrics appear and where the music-only sections play. For each of these segments, we decide what exactly we want to show on screen. We'll make a note of what actions or visuals should appear when the lyrics are sung, what we want to display during the instrumental parts, which characters will appear in each section, and what backgrounds we'll use during different time frames of the rhyme. This step is extremely important because it helps us plan efficiently, letting us identify where we can reuse characters, repeat backgrounds, or add variety for visual interest. Traditionally, animators would sketch all this out on paper as a storyboard. But now, with Autodraft, we can skip the manual drawing. With a bit of thoughtful planning, we can jump straight into the platform and start building our rhyme visually. So, let's go ahead and start creating our rhyme. Let's start building our very first background. In this part of the rhyme, we need to show 2 kids coming out of their house, followed by another 2 kids stepping out from a different house. In the third scene, all 4 of them will meet together in a park. To create these backgrounds, we'll go to the Image Gen option in Autodraft. Here we can upload a reference image to guide the system. I've already downloaded an image from the internet. It shows a beautiful house with a rainbow in the background. Let's select this image for our project. You'll see two sizing options. Freeform, which gives full flexibility to adjust the background however you like. 16:9, which crops or resizes the image to match your project's aspect ratio. For this example, let's choose Freeform so that we can freely adjust the background later. Then, hit Enter. Once uploaded, you'll notice three available options. Storyboard to image. You can upload a hand-drawn storyboard and automatically generate a background from it. Sketch to image. Works similarly, but uses a rough sketch instead of a detailed storyboard. Image stylization. The option we'll be using right now. So let's confirm image stylization. Autodraft AI will now analyze the uploaded image and understand its content before generating a prompt. After a moment, it identifies the scene and describes it as a cozy cottage with a vibrant rainbow, lush green meadow, and colorful flowers under a sunny sky. This becomes our AI-generated prompt for the background. Now, let's take a look at the different visual styles available in Autodraft. You'll find options like rural horror anime, realistic 3D, village style, kids animation style. There are plenty of choices, but for this rhyme, we'll go with kids animation style, since it fits the tone of our project perfectly. We also have some advanced settings, such as prompt strength, condition factor, condition scale, and creativity level, but we'll explore those in a later video. For now, let's go ahead and click Generate Background to create our first scene. Our first background has been successfully generated, and just look at how beautiful it is. We can clearly see the rainbow, the lovely cottage, and the steps leading out from the house. This sets the perfect tone for our rhyme's opening scene. Now, we'll expand and position this background properly to match our first scene. We'll make all the fine adjustments on the timeline later, once we've created all the backgrounds. For now, let's move ahead. Next, let's create our second background. We'll go back to our reference folder and select the image labeled House Number 2. Just like before, we'll choose the Freeform option for flexibility, and then click Done. Now, select Image Stylization again. Autodraft AI will begin analyzing the new image to understand its details. After studying the image, the AI generates a descriptive prompt that reads, "Cottage with colorful flower gardens, stepping stones, and waving trees." That's exactly what we need for our second scene. Next, we'll choose the kids' animation style, since that matches the look and feel of our first background, and then hit Generate to create the second background. Our second background is now ready. Let's go ahead and click Add, and you'll see it neatly placed on the timeline. Now, it's time to create our third background. We'll open the Image Gen section once again. This time, I've selected an image that features a rainbow and a large tree, something that gives a fresh, open feel, perfect for our park scene. There are a few other image options as well, so let's experiment and pick this one to see how the AI interprets it. As before, we'll keep the Freeform option selected and then click Done. Next, under Image Stylization, we'll proceed with the same steps as before. The process is exactly the same. Autodraft AI will now analyze the image, study its elements, and automatically generate a descriptive prompt based on what it sees. Once the analysis is complete, we'll simply click Generate, and our third background will be created. Our third background has now been generated successfully. Let's go ahead and place it on the timeline. Since this particular image was in a square format, it appears slightly cropped within our canvas. So we'll simply expand and adjust it to fit the 16:9 frame properly, ensuring it blends seamlessly with the previous backgrounds. Now we have all three backgrounds, the first, second, and third, placed and ready. In the same way, we'll continue generating and adding the remaining backgrounds needed for the rest of the rhyme. Once all backgrounds are ready, we'll move on to the next stage, bringing in our characters and starting the animation process. Now that our first background is ready, let's start adding characters. We'll go to the characters icon on the left panel and select the Kid category. You'll notice there are plenty of children characters available here. For this scene, we'll need 4 kids in total. Let's begin with the first 2. From this house, I'll choose this boy character, the one available in the 3/4 pose. Let's go ahead and add him to the canvas. Next, we'll add another character, a girl who appears to be his sister. So now we have 2 characters, a boy and a girl, who look like siblings. To make the scene look natural, we'll flip their orientation using the flip tool at the top. Let's select the boy first. Click flip and do the same for the girl. Now both characters are facing the correct direction. We'll position them in front of the house so it appears as if they're stepping out together. Since the background changes after the 3rd second, we'll also adjust the duration of these characters on the timeline so that they don't appear in the next background. Let's trim their length accordingly. Now, to make them more lively, we'll add some basic animations. Before that, we'll enable eye blink for both characters. To do this, select the boy, go to the control panel on the right-hand side and turn on eye blink. We'll repeat the same for the girl character. Since there's no lip sync required yet, we'll skip that for now. Next, we'll make the kids walk forward a short distance. Let's select the boy first, open the Animate panel, and choose the walk action. Then, using the path tool, we'll define his walking direction, from the house toward the center. Now, we'll do the same for the girl. Select her, open Animate, choose walk, and draw her walking path parallel to the boy's. Once done, hit play, and you'll see both kids walking out of their house, exactly as we planned for the first 3 seconds of our rhyme. That completes the setup for our first 2 characters. Now that we've added the first 2 kids in the first background, let's go ahead and bring in the next 2 children who appear in the second background. We'll go back to the characters section and select another kid character. For this example, I'll choose a boy who has both side and back poses available. Perfect for a walking motion. Once selected, let's place him on the canvas and choose the walk cycle animation directly from the Animate panel. You can also explore other poses later to vary your scenes. When we create a walk cycle, especially when a character is coming from a farther distance toward the viewer, it's important to make it feel realistic. To achieve this, we'll gradually increase the character's size as he moves forward along his path. So, let's click on the Path tool for this boy and slightly scale him up to give that sense of depth and approach. Next, we'll add one more character, a baby girl. Let's pick her from the characters list and again select the walk cycle animation. This character also has 3 poses, front, side, and back, giving us good flexibility. Just like before, we'll define her path using the Path tool and adjust her size as she moves closer. Let's place her beside the boy, making it look like they're walking together from their house. Now, let's play the scene and watch how it looks. The 2 kids should walk forward naturally within the duration of the second background. Once satisfied, we'll make sure these animations end exactly where the second background ends. To do that, move the cursor to the point where the second background transitions. Then split the character layers there and delete the extra portions beyond that point. Do the same for both characters. Now, everything aligns perfectly. The kids walk in sync, and their animations stop right where the background changes. Perfect. For our next scene, we want to create a smooth camera pan, starting from the top of the rainbow and moving down to the bottom of the tree, where our kids will soon be playing. To do this, we'll use the Path tool, the same one we used earlier for character movements. First, position your background at the point where you want the camera pan to start. In this case, at the top of the rainbow. Then, move the timeline cursor to the position where you want the pan to end, near the bottom of the tree. Now, add a path that moves from the starting point down to the ending point. Once the path is added, hit play to preview it. You'll notice the camera gently glides from the top of the rainbow all the way down to the base of the tree, giving a natural downward pan. This technique helps establish your next scene beautifully, setting up the location where the kids will play. And remember, the Path tool isn't limited to characters alone. You can also use it for background movements and any assets you add from the panel. We'll be using this tool extensively in upcoming sequences, especially when we animate moving elements like clouds to make the scenes come alive. So, let's move forward and explore that next. Alright, so now we've completed the first two scenes, where the kids walk out of their homes and meet in the park. Now it's time to move into the main part of our rhyme, where the lyrics begin. High in the tree where the bluebirds sing, sun in the sky makes the bright leaves swing. Let's start setting up this sequence. First, we'll return to our canvas and replicate the park background for the next segment. As per our plan, this scene runs from 13 seconds to 19 seconds. So we'll duplicate the background and stretch it to cover that portion of the timeline. Next, let's adjust the background position slightly. Since we want to introduce a bluebird in this shot, we'll zoom in a bit for a tighter frame. If you notice any blur while zooming, you can use the upscale feature to enhance the clarity. To do that, go to Edit and choose Upscale under the options like AI Video, Day and Night, BG Remover, Magic Eraser, and Stylize. You can upscale by 2 times, 4 times, or even 6 times, depending on how sharp you want your image to look. In this case, our background already looks fine, so we'll keep it as it is. Now, let's add our bluebird. Go to the Characters panel and open the Birds category. Choose a bluebird character, one that's in a looking around pose, and add it to the scene. Use the flip tool if needed to make the bird face the right direction. We'll shift the background slightly to the left to create enough space on the right for the kids to appear. Now, let's add the kids to this scene. There are 2 ways to do this. You can manually go to the Characters panel and re-add the kids from scratch, or you can duplicate their existing layers from the earlier scene. We'll use the duplication method here. Select the walk cycle layer of each kid, duplicate it, and then move it to the 13-second mark, the start of this new scene. Once placed, we'll change their animation type from walk to idle, since they're now standing and observing the bird. Repeat this for all 4 children. Now, all the kids are in place, standing together, looking up at the bluebird. Flip any character if needed to ensure they're facing the right direction, and adjust their sizes to maintain visual balance. Now that the setup is complete, let's preview the scene. It looks great. The kids are standing under the tree, watching the bluebird perched above. Next, we'll add a lip sync animation for the girl who is singing this part of the rhyme. To do this, select the girl character, open the control panel, and enable speaking. Then click Apply Changes. You can even change her pose to a singing pose for more expression. Let's play the scene. You'll see the girl singing while the others watch, perfectly timed with the lyrics. To bring our scene to life, let's now add a singing animation for the girl character. Go to the Animate panel and type Singing in the Action search bar. You'll see an available animation labeled Singing. Select it and apply it to the girl character. Now, let's play the scene and see how it looks. You can see that the girl is now singing while the other kids are watching the bluebird. This perfectly matches the lyrics of our rhyme and adds a lovely sense of expression to the scene. Later, we'll enhance this shot further by adding camera movements. Once we complete all the animations, we'll introduce camera layers to create a smooth pan, starting from the bluebird above and moving down to the children below. This will make the scene look much more dynamic and cinematic. We'll set that up in a later stage. For now, let's move forward with the next part of the rhyme. In this next part of the rhyme, we need to show a cloud coming down, and the kids will actually jump onto the cloud. To make that happen, we first need to create the cloud asset. Let's go to the Image Gen option and upload our cloud image from the system. Once uploaded, we'll choose the Freeform option so that we can freely position and resize it later. After that, click Done to confirm the upload. Next, we'll generate a prompt that helps the AI recognize the object correctly. In this case, that it's a cloud. Once the system detects it, we'll select the kid's animation style to match the look and feel of our existing scene, and then click Generate. What we're essentially doing here is stylizing the cloud, converting it into a visually cohesive element that fits perfectly within our cartoon animation world. Once it's generated, we'll make a few further edits to refine the cloud's appearance and prepare it for animation in the upcoming step. All right, Now we have our cloud ready on the canvas. You'll notice that while the cloud has been stylized beautifully to match our animation look, it still comes with a background, which we don't need. For our scene, we want the cloud to be a transparent PNG so that it blends seamlessly with the rest of the animation. To remove the background, go to the Edit panel. Here you'll find an option called BG Remover. Click on BG Remover, and the system will automatically detect and remove the background from the image. Once the process is complete, you'll have a clean, transparent cloud, ready to be used as an animation element in your scene. This gives us the perfect base for the next step, where we'll make the cloud move and interact with our characters. All right, our cloud is now ready and stylized. Let's go ahead and place it on the canvas, right where the kids will be sitting. We can resize the cloud to make it proportionate to the characters, and if needed, flip it horizontally so that it fits the composition better. Now the kids can comfortably sit on top of the cloud, exactly as we envisioned. Next, we want the cloud to descend from above, because of course, a magical cloud doesn't just appear out of nowhere. To create that descending motion, we'll use the Path tool. Select the cloud asset and apply a path to it. You'll see 2 points appear, one marking where the movement starts and the other where it ends. We'll set the end position of the path to where the kids are sitting. Then, we'll drag the starting position outside the frame so it looks like the cloud is coming down from the sky. Now, when we play the scene, you'll see a smooth animation of the cloud descending gently into place, ready for the kids to hop onto it. For the next lyric, Jump Up High, we'll need to replicate the background and extend it slightly to maintain continuity. We'll duplicate the layer, remove the previous path, and extend the background along the timeline. Next, we'll do the same for the character layers, extending their duration so they remain visible during the cloud's movement. Let's preview the scene. This is where the kids will now jump onto the cloud as part of the animation. Once that's done, we'll create the jumping action and animate the cloud moving back upward, carrying the kids along with it. Now it's time to animate the part where the kids jump onto the cloud. To begin, we'll split all the layers at the point where the jumping action should start. The bird layer doesn't need to be split, since it remains static in the scene. And here's a quick reminder. If you make a mistake while editing, don't worry. You can always use the undo or redo tools to revert or redo any change instantly. We have 4 kid characters in total, so let's split each of their layers individually at the same timestamp. Now, for every character, we'll add the jump action. Go to the Animate panel, type jump, and apply that action to the first character. Repeat the same process for each of the remaining characters. Once done, let's play the animation to preview it. You can see that the kids are now jumping up and landing on the cloud, exactly as planned. Next, before we trigger the second jump sequence, we want to make the kids settle into position on the cloud. So, after the first jump completes, select all the character layers, open the Animate panel again, and this time, change their state to idle. This makes it look as though they've landed safely and are now sitting comfortably on the cloud. Let's play it again. Now you can see all the kids seated happily on the floating cloud. For the next step, we'll animate the cloud rising up into the sky, taking the kids along with it. And that's where the real magic begins. Now that our cloud and the kids are ready, let's make the cloud rise back into the sky, taking the children along for the ride. First, let's keep things organized. We'll rename the cloud layer to Cloud, so there's no confusion while editing. At this point, we have 2 main elements on the canvas, the bluebird and the cloud, along with all 4 kids seated on it. Next, we'll animate the cloud's upward movement. As always, we'll use the Path tool for this. Start by selecting the cloud layer and moving the timeline cursor to the point right after the kids have jumped onto it. We'll split the layer there so that the animation starts from that moment. Then, apply a Path tool to the cloud. Define the movement by setting the start position, where the cloud currently rests, and the end position, higher up in the sky. This will make the cloud gently ascend into the air. Now, we need to ensure that the kids move along with the cloud. To do that, select each character layer one by one and apply the Path tool to them as well. Match their start and end points with the cloud's path, so it looks as if the kids are moving together with it. Once done, Let's play the animation and see how it looks so far. You can see that the kids are now on the cloud, gently rising up into the sky. A truly magical moment. The next lyric says, "Off to the land where the dreamers are." To bring this part of the rhyme to life, we'll now create a new background, representing the dreamy, imaginative world the kids are about to enter. Before that, though, remember that the cloud and the kids need to continue moving together through the sky as we transition to this new background. So once we've set the new scene, we'll replicate all the existing layers, the cloud and all four kids, to maintain continuity in their motion. They'll keep floating forward across the screen as the new background appears behind them. But first things first, let's go ahead and generate the next background that will represent the land where the dreamers are. All right, so now we know the drill. Let's go ahead and create the next background, the one that represents the land where the dreamers are. We'll start by going to the Image Gen option and uploading our reference image. This time, instead of a rainbow with the sun, let's choose something a bit softer, perhaps a rainbow with clouds. Once the image is uploaded, we'll keep the mode as Freeform. As we've seen before, choosing Freeform gives us the flexibility to pan the background later if we need to add movement or transitions. After that, click Done to confirm the upload. Now, let's generate a prompt so that the AI can interpret and stylize the image correctly. It analyzes the scene and identifies it as a colorful rainbow arcing over fluffy clouds against a bright blue sky, a cloudscape masterpiece. That's perfect for this dreamy sequence. Next, we'll select the kids' animation style once again to ensure visual consistency with our earlier scenes, and then click Generate. In just a few moments, our beautiful Land of Dreamers background will be ready, bright, magical, and perfectly in tune with the story. We can adjust its position slightly by moving the layer downward on the canvas, depending on the framing we want. Let's check how much of this region we'll actually use. I think up to this point looks good. So, we'll split the layer here and delete the extra portion that we don't need. Now, let's do something really interesting. We'll turn this static rainbow background into a moving background. To do this, go to the top of the canvas and select the option called Frame to Video. This allows us to convert the still image into a short video with subtle motion. Once selected, we'll mark this frame and click Done. You'll notice that the rainbow area might get cropped slightly during conversion. That's fine, it will still look great in motion. Next, the AI will analyze the scene and generate a prompt describing what's happening. It gives us something like, create a video of clouds gently drifting as the shimmering sun rises behind the rainbow. That's perfect for our scene. We'll just remove the part about birds singing, since we already have sound elements covered. Now, let's set the resolution to 1080p and choose the duration. In our case, about 5 seconds is perfect, since this part of the rhyme runs from the 20th to the 25th second. Finally, click Generate. What we're doing here is creating a subtle animated background, with clouds drifting and light movement, to give a sense of life and continuity to our scene. Our animated background video is now ready. Let's go ahead and place it on the canvas. With just a single click, the tool automatically positions the moving background for us. Let's play it once and see how it looks. Isn't that beautiful? You can see how effortlessly the tool handles the animation. We don't need to manually animate every little element. The clouds and sunlight already move smoothly, giving the entire scene a vibrant, natural feel. Next, let's make a few quick adjustments. We'll expand the layer slightly to match the timing we need, and then delete the extra portion of the clip that isn't required. Since we now have a moving background, we no longer need the static rainbow image, so we'll remove that layer entirely. If needed, we can fine-tune its positioning or layer order later, but for now, let's focus on bringing our characters into this animated sky. In this scene, we want to show the kids arriving from the left side, floating into the frame on the cloud. To do that, we'll replicate all the existing layers, the cloud and the kids, just as we've done before. We'll carefully align the replicated cloud with the new moving background and snap it precisely to the correct layer. Now, we'll start placing all 4 kids on top of the cloud. Remember, the kids in the cloud should appear behind the moving background layer, so we'll adjust the layer order accordingly to achieve the correct depth and perspective. Once everything is in position, the magic of the scene truly comes alive. The kids are flying through the shimmering clouds toward the land of dreamers. Now that we've duplicated all our layers, you might notice that the kids aren't visible on the screen. That's because the background layer is currently sitting on top, covering them. To fix this, let's reorder the layers by bringing the background down in the layer stack. Remember, we mentioned earlier that we'd adjust this, and this is the perfect time to do it. Once the layer order is corrected, let's play the scene again. Now you can see the kids, but the positions of the cloud and characters don't quite line up yet. To correct that, we'll start placing each child in the cloud carefully, adjusting their positions so everything looks natural. You can easily do this by moving the cloud slightly and aligning the kids on top of it. Let's preview it once more. Now it looks perfect, as if the kids have floated up from the park below and are now riding through the sky on the cloud. Isn't that fantastic? You can really see how all the layers, backgrounds, characters, and animation are coming together to create this magical moment in our rhyme. Now we move into the next part of the song, where the lyrics mention the moon. This means we'll be transitioning from a daytime background to a night sky scene. To begin, I've already downloaded a moon and clouds image that we'll use as our reference. Let's upload it in ImageGen, keeping the setting as freeform so that we have flexibility while adjusting the composition later. Once uploaded, click Done and confirm the selection. Just like before, we'll generate a prompt so the AI can interpret and stylize the image correctly. After analyzing it, the system describes the scene as a starry night sky with a crescent moon surrounded by fluffy purple clouds. A masterpiece. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now, let's select the kids' animation style once again to maintain consistency with the earlier visuals, and then hit Generate. In just a few seconds, Autodraft will create a beautiful nighttime background, ready for us to use in the next scene, where the kids, now floating on their cloud, journey toward the moonlit sky. Now that our night sky background has been generated, let's go ahead and place it on the canvas. Just look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. We can make a few minor adjustments to position it perfectly, aligning the moon and clouds to match our scene composition. Next, we'll bring this still background to life by converting it into a moving video. To do that, we'll once again use the Video Gen tool. Go to Frame to Video, keep it set to Freeform, and click Done. The AI will now begin analyzing the background. At this stage, we can also refine the prompt slightly to describe the desired motion more clearly. For example, create a video of clouds gently shifting, revealing twinkling stars, with a crescent moon gradually rising higher. That's perfect, calm, magical, and just right for this part of the rhyme. Now, let's select the 1080p resolution for the best visual quality and set the duration. Since our timeline runs from 25.5 seconds to 32 seconds, we'll set the clip length to around 7 seconds. Once that's done, click Generate. Autodraft will now process the scene, creating a softly animated night sky with drifting clouds and a glowing moon that rises gently, bringing a peaceful close to this part of the rhyme. Let's click on it and see how it looks. We've generated this animation for about 7 seconds, and as we play it, you can see how beautifully it has turned out. This sets the perfect stage for the next part of our rhyme, where the kids, floating on their cloud, travel through the moonlit sky toward the land of dreamers. Now we've reached one of the most joyful moments of the rhyme, where the kids dance on the cloud under the moonlit sky. To start, we'll follow the same process we've used before. Let's replicate all the layers, including the cloud and the kids, so that this new sequence continues smoothly until the end of the rhyme. Once duplicated, we'll position the cloud where we want the kids to be in the frame. If the kids aren't visible right away, that's because the video background layer is currently placed above them. Let's bring the background layer down in the layer stack, and now we can clearly see all the characters again. Since we don't want the cloud to keep moving in this final scene, we'll remove all the path animations from the cloud and the kids. Instead, we'll make this moment lively by turning it into a celebration scene, where the children are dancing happily on the cloud. Let's reposition the kids slightly higher on the canvas to match the cloud's tilt from the previous shot. Once everything looks balanced, we'll begin adding the dancing animations. Go to the Animate panel. You'll find multiple dance actions available. Let's assign different poses to each child for variety. The first boy can have dance pose 2. The second girl can use a different dance pose for variation. The younger boy can take another fun dance pose, adding energy to the scene. And the main girl, who has been singing throughout, can remain in her singing pose. Now, we'll open her control panel and make sure that speaking is still enabled, so it looks as though she's continuing to sing while the others dance joyfully around her. Let's play the scene and preview how it looks. Beautiful. The kids are dancing on the cloud, the moon glows above, and the girl continues singing, completing the magical atmosphere of our rhyme. As we discussed earlier, we'll add camera movements later, zooming in on the section where the kids are dancing to make the ending more dynamic and cinematic. In this next scene, we'll take the kids into a dreamland, a magical world filled with colors, butterflies, and imagination. To create this, let's go back to the Image Gen panel. We've already downloaded 2 different backgrounds from the internet, and now we'll check which one fits best for this part of the rhyme. First, let's upload the image that shows butterflies and other dreamy elements. Once uploaded, we'll go to Image Stylization and generate a prompt so that the AI understands and enhances the scene accordingly. After that, we'll select the kids' animation style to ensure consistency with the rest of our visuals and hit Generate. Now, we've also prepared another background that we'd like to test. However, since that file is in WebP format, we'll need to convert it to JPEG before uploading it. You can easily do this online. Simply search for a WebP to JPEG converter, upload your file, and download the converted version. Meanwhile, our first Dreamland background has already been generated. Let's place it on the canvas to preview how it looks. It's beautiful, bright, whimsical, and full of life. We might end up using this one for our final scene, but let's wait and see how the second background turns out before making the final decision. Our second Dreamland background is now ready. Let's place it on the canvas and compare both options. In this one, we can see a few squirrels and extra details, but after comparing both, the earlier version looks more fitting. It has a magical blend of planets, flowers, and vibrant colors, which aligns perfectly with the theme of our rhyme. So, we'll go ahead and select the first background as our final choice and snap it to the timeline exactly where this sequence begins. We still want our kids to be on the cloud, but this time, they'll be clapping joyfully as part of the celebration. Let's start by duplicating the layers just as we've done before. We'll place all the character layers in the cloud carefully within the timeline. Since none of these layers have path animations applied, it'll be easier to position them. Once everything is in place, we'll add clapping animations to all the kids. To do this, select each character one by one, go to the Animate panel, and apply the clapping action. Now, as we play the scene, you'll see all the kids standing on the cloud, happily clapping together. To make this even more engaging, we'll add a camera movement. We'll use the camera tool, which is available on the top panel of the canvas. Once selected, it automatically places a camera frame on your scene. This tool is incredibly simple to use. We can set the starting frame to show the entire Dreamland background, and then the ending frame to slowly zoom in on the kids as they clap and dance. Let's play and preview it. See how the camera gently zooms in, bringing focus to the children celebrating in this magical world. The line of the rhyme says, "Together we dance," and that's exactly what we're visualizing here. If we wish, we can split the layers once again and give each child dance poses in sync with the rhythm. You can also apply this camera zoom technique to previous scenes, wherever you want to add depth or a cinematic touch. For instance, zooming in when the kids first see the bluebird or when they float on the cloud. With these adjustments, the entire rhyme feels alive, full of movement, color, and joy. While we're placing the camera movements across all our layers, let's add one more beautiful detail. A bird flying down from the sky and landing on the tree branch. To create this effect, we'll start by duplicating the existing bird layer and placing it where we want the motion to begin. Next, we'll give this duplicated bird a flying animation. To do that, select the bird, go to the Animate panel, and choose a suitable flying action. Now, to make it move naturally, we'll apply a path tool to define its movement, starting from a higher point in the sky and ending near the branch. Let's play it once to preview the animation. You'll see the bird gliding gracefully from above and finally reaching the tree. To make it look as though it has actually landed, we'll keep another static bird pose on the branch, placed right where the flying motion ends. That way, when the animation plays, it appears seamless. The bird flies in, lands softly, and stays perched on the branch. This small touch brings the entire scene to life, adding a natural, charming moment to your rhyme. Now that we've completed the entire animation, it's time for the final step, downloading our rhyme video. Autodraft allows you to export your project in multiple resolutions, from 720p to Full HD 1080p, and even 4K Ultra HD for the highest visual quality. For this tutorial, I'll go ahead and download the rhyme in 4K resolution, so every detail, from the colors to the animations, looks crisp and beautiful. Once the export is complete, your final rhyme video will be ready to share. A magical, fully animated creation made entirely inside Autodraft AI. Now that the download is complete, it's time to work on one of the most exciting parts, creating the thumbnail for our rhyme. We'll experiment with a couple of different thumbnail designs to see which one looks best. And the best part is, you don't need to leave Autodraft AI for this step. You can easily create beautiful thumbnails right inside the platform. To get started, scroll down to the left panel and click on AI Thumbnail. Before doing that, let's first hide the camera tool to keep our workspace clean. Now, once the AI Thumbnail feature is open, you can capture the current frame, whatever is displayed on your canvas. We'll select the section we want to highlight for our thumbnail and crop or shrink it to focus on the most important elements. For this rhyme, we want to emphasize the moon, the cloud, and the kids dancing, since they perfectly represent the dreamlike theme. So, we'll adjust the selection and hit done. The AI will now analyze this frame and automatically generate a prompt describing it. It says, 4 children dancing on a cloud under a starry sky with a crescent moon. Dreamy and magical atmosphere. That's exactly what we need. We'll now select the kids' animation style, give our thumbnail a title, let's call it Dreamland Rhyme, and hit generate. While this first thumbnail is being created, we'll also try a second variation, something centered around the rainbow. We can do that easily by replicating the existing layer, placing it over an empty space on the canvas, and arranging all our elements one by one. Let's duplicate the cloud and kid layers, position them neatly, and prepare the alternate frame for another thumbnail version. Once both are ready, we can compare them and choose the one that captures the magical essence of our rhyme the best. Now, as we start working on our second thumbnail, you might notice that the characters aren't visible on the screen. That's because the background video is still active. For thumbnails, we always need a static image, not a moving one. There are 2 simple ways to fix this. You can take a snapshot frame directly from your video, or use an image that you've already generated earlier in ImageGen. Since we already have that background available, we don't need to extract a new one. So let's delete this current layer and go to ImageGen to bring in the static background we created earlier. Once we've placed it, you can immediately see all our kids appearing clearly on the canvas. Let's expand the background to fit the frame perfectly and start adjusting the positioning of each element. We can fine-tune placement easily using the Transform tool on the right panel. Next, we'll remove all path tools from the kids and the cloud, since we don't want any motion in our thumbnail. Everything should remain still. Now, let's move the kids slightly higher so they appear closer to the rainbow in the cloud, giving a more cheerful, balanced composition. Once the frame looks good, we'll go back to AI Thumbnail. We'll capture this specific frame, reduce the frame size, and focus tightly on the kids and the rainbow. the heart of our rhyme. Then we'll click Done. Autodraft will now analyze the frame and generate a prompt describing what it sees. It identifies it as 4 children sitting on a cloud with a vibrant rainbow, clear sky, fluffy clouds, and a colorful scene. That's perfect. We'll again set the title as Dreamland Rhyme. Select the kids' animation style and hit Generate. While this new thumbnail is being generated, let's take a look at the previous one. We'll download it and open it to see how it looks. Isn't it beautiful? The Dreamland Rhyme thumbnail perfectly captures the magical, colorful mood of our story. We'll wait for the second version to finish generating and then decide which one best represents our rhyme. Our second thumbnail is now ready. Let's go ahead and download it and see how it looks. Wow, this one's beautiful too. Bright, colorful, and full of life. Both thumbnails have turned out wonderfully, and either of them would make a perfect cover image for our rhyme. You can choose the one that best matches the mood and tone you want to highlight, whether it's the moonlit dreamland or the rainbow adventure. With that, our thumbnail creation is complete. And that's it. From script to music, characters, backgrounds, animations, and even animated scenes, we just created a complete children's rhymes using nothing but Autodraft AI. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
High in the tree where the bluebirds sing, sun in the sky makes the bright leaves swing. Jump on a cloud, let it sail so far, off to the land where the dreamers are. La la la, we'll touch the moon, sing our song from noon to noon. Clap your hands and skip in time, together we'll dance in dreamland's rhyme. La la la, we'll touch the moon, sing our song from noon to noon. Clap your hands and skip in time, together we'll dance in